Well, hey everybody!
Welcome.
Will be with us shortly. There she
Hold on.
is.
Oh, there we go. Little rough. She still can't hear. Okay, we're having a little bit of technical difficulties, so Sharon will join us when she can. We can hear her. She can't hear us. But disregardlessly, welcome to the show.
Wait. I demand a review of that word.
Disregard. I'm sorry. That was my mistake. Disregardlessly.
Well, you don't want to take things for granted.
We could do a whole show on that. I love these idiotic starts to the show where we're just like, anyway.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear us?
Yes, finally.
Hi, Sharon. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Long time to see.
Okay, let's start over. Hey, welcome to Lawfully Chaotic, episode 29. My co-hosts, as always, are here with me, Jason Baldrick of TTRPG Academy, and Sharon Smith, Barrybot, the fabulous Barrybot. We are going to talk about the biggest thing to happen in Dungeons and Dragons ever. Well, maybe not ever. It was bigger when it actually came out because it didn't exist before then. But
arguably the most incredible thing that ever happened.
The most incredible thing, one D&D.
Gary Gygax had an insurance job, and he used to sneak his notes into their Xerox machine, and the entire first volume of a 3-volume set was done on an insurance company's Xerox machine. I always thought that story was
fun fact. I didn't know that. You want to hear another fun fact? I was doing the same thing, writing the same game, but my employer wouldn't let me use the copy machine, so that's why Gary Gygax beat me to it. So, it should be me sitting here.
It's like, what's a copy machine?
Yeah, like you can't do that. You can't do that here. This is work. And I'm like,
I just learned about something called facsimile. Do you two old white guys know anything about facsimile machines?
Oh my God.
The reason why I can safely make fun of myself because of that is, well, my youngest children, I mention things like that and they're like, huh? What?
I never used fax machines when there were fax machines. So
I did. I used to fax my bottom.
You put them.
I used to fax my bottom.
And on that note,
I'd go sit on the Xerox machine.
Hey, J.S. Henderson. Jeff, thank you for joining us in chat. You are the first person to join us in chat tonight. You win some stickers.
I'll give them to you. Machine, and then I photocopy my bum. And then I take the copy of my bum and I fax it to a friend who used to work at another office. And I said, hey, I'm sending you something from down under. It's bottoms deep. Don't get left behind. Take advantage of this booming sale.
You should have said bottoms up.
Let us know. Let us know when you're done.
Oh, in that case, we got at least 2 hours.
Okay. Jeff, thanks for joining us. Welcome. I'll give you some stickers next time we play. So we're going to talk about and Gary, welcome also. I'll send you some stickers since you're in Vegas. Oops, shit, I shouldn't have said that. God, Gary's what? I was secret information.
Gary, they're on to you.
That's Vegas, Michigan. It's a small town outside of Detroit. Vegas, all right, enough of this bullshit. Let's talk some fucking D&D stuff. D&D 1. I as usual, I got a lot to say about this topic. Well, how do you want to start? Let's let Sharon. Okay, before we start.
Before we start, let's summarize the subject matter. I'm going to give it a high level summary because I've been doing an obnoxious amount of reading lately on all the content, reading a lot of feedback, watching a lot of other people's feedback, trying to get a feel. There was one particular person that I felt okay with in the feedback. But so one D&D, is essentially a play test that's going to be evolving over a period of time. Their first drop was a change, or the potential playtest change, of character development. That's all that's dropped so far. Now, in the video promo, they talk about that. They also talk about a few changes to the rolling system when it comes to potential encounters, checks, and stuff like that. They also talk about an integrated VTT solution that is going to be designed to be integrated into your D&D Beyond system. So to be fair to the topic, I just want us to, give a summary. They haven't really delivered anything much. All they delivered was a 21-page document of some character playtest stuff that they think they're working on, right? That they, and then every month or something, they're gonna open up a feedback link so that people could give feedback to it, and then drop new content at the same time. If you have a D&D Beyond license like I do, obviously I have a much easier access point to it, because it's integrated into my subscription model that I have. So I just want to give that a high summary, because I really like BarryBot's notes. The best part about your notes, BarryBot, that I really love, that really inspired me to do my research, was the microtransaction bit. That's been reaffirmed by 5 other reviewers, and I really felt that was a very insightful, put together point that you put in our notes. And yes, folks, we study. BarryBot does the notes. She sends it out a week early. We read, we study, we go out there and take a look at things. It also encouraged me to go out and redo what I do every now and then. And I go into Google and I search TTRPG universal rule sets. And then I look for the top 10 hits that come up over and over and over again. So I've been reading up on that, because it really inspired me with all this discussion, around getting rid of the, I know, you're not kidding. But the microtransaction thing really got my blood boiling. But
yeah, I found it interesting also that you put that in there, Sharon, because I actually mentioned that with somebody. I don't remember who, but I mentioned that I was talking about this with somebody a couple of weeks ago, or a week and a half ago, whenever it dropped, and that was part of what I was talking about. Also, I got distracted. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's bound to happen since everything has gone digital now. So I'm not surprised if they're going to do microtransactions for the new upcoming virtual tabletop. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, and I think let me jump in, and then Sharon, I want to give it to you to kind of really start the
deep dive. Go for it.
The deep dive. I'm going to give my my usual high level pros and cons. I am both very excited for this and very scared. My scared part comes from, and we can go deeper into this, but it comes from the proliferation of 5e has seen an explosion of content, printed content, expensive printed content, more than any other edition. And I think it's safe to say that, especially with what's been happening, over the oh, Jeff, you know me all too well. Over the past few years, with the explosion of D&D, it's safe to say that a lot of people have invested a lot of money. And I think I am not alone in saying that there is a fear out there that they are changing the 5e rules. Now, they say they are not, and they say they are adding to them. What I see as like a homebrew, putting stuff on top and whatnot. But I don't know. I still have this trepidation, because I still feel like this is an opportunity from a commercial standpoint for them to say, hey, buy all this shit again. Now, what I'm super excited before is the entire digital aspect, because as we have been talking for months, there is a huge hole in the digital aspect, the one package, no pun intended, of a digital package of how to play this game. Everything from what D&D Beyond already does, to the virtual tabletop that they've talked about, to creating, and this is where Wizards of the Coast, I hope they're finally catching on, creating an entire digital community, a CRM, customer relations management community, and owning it. And yeah, you know what? Give the digital content away for free with a physical book or discounts or whatever, because where they are going to clean up, if they do it right, are the microtransactions. Look at World of Warcraft. I want to buy a dumb hat. I want to buy clothes. I want to buy a mount, all this shit. And if they were smart about it, they could create an entire gamified world around playing the game, where you're not only interacting with the game, but you're interacting with the community as a player of the game, if that makes sense. Like, I level up as a DM or as a player, if you will. So anyway, we can get deeper into that. I'm going to shut up and let you dive into your research.
You sure you don't want to?
No, don't give me that opportunity, because I'll never shut the fuck up. So just go.
Honesty is the best policy.
So basically, for the new D&D 1 content, they've released character races such as human, Ardling is a new one, Dragonborn, Dwarf, Elf, Gnome, Halfling, Orc, and Tiefling. It's interesting because, like, for these specific races, there aren't any half-elves anymore or half-orcs. You could bring it up to interpretation of, you could pick one trait to the race and just use that and just customize the physical appearance of your character. And they're also trying to have people build your own background, like BYOB.
Right?
I really have to set up my Stream Deck to properly. I mean, right now, all I use it for is emojis. I really need to have, like, the type of shit,
Yeah, and everyone gets to choose first level feat. Just everybody right off the bat. Yeah. Exactly.
Yep. So, okay, I don't want to interrupt, Sharon, but do you want us to react to this as we talk through it?
Yes.
I apologize, audience. I feel like there's so freaking much to talk about. Like, I don't know where to even begin, but, so I have a question, actually, based on the races. So, and I understand that this is just playtesting, and this is just a tiny snippet. However, what happened they just introduced like a dozen new races in Spelljammer. What happened to all the races in Tasha's, in all the Critical Role content? Like, where? See, that's where I'm saying, okay, you just released all this shit, and now you've recondensed it back into this tiny little snippet.
Yeah, I'm really thinking it's because they're trying to introduce more newer players onto the platform, so they're really just kind of narrowing it down to just these top few races, and then really trying to have people get creative with, like, their backstories and their character creation, essentially. And then I thought it was interesting, there's only like 3 spell lists now. There's the Divine, Arcane, and Primordial. I'm curious what you guys think about that. And ones.
Well, in regards to the spells, that doesn't bother me so much. Again, I don't know. I have a problem. This started with Tasha's, in my opinion. Tasha's, when they got rid of all the racial stuff and basically said you can put your points anywhere. I understand why they did it. I'm not going to get into that. Again, I've already ranted about that. But in my opinion, what that does is it dilutes it so much that everybody becomes the same again. They're talking so much about character differentiation, and yes, your background story probably is the biggest driving force for character differentiation.
Yeah.
However, I still feel like a lot of people want to see that differentiation, on their character sheet, and I feel like to your point, the spells, it doesn't bother me so much because there was already so much overlap. So I guess in a way it's okay, but I kind of see it as following the same formula where it's like, okay, well now, 5 classes use, all the same spells. So yeah, exactly. When everybody's a super, then no one is. That sums it up perfectly. You were about to say the critical rules. Fucking hate. Dumb as
What do you
shit.
mean? I wasn't even gonna say it.
Oh, was I not clear about that? Let me explain what I meant by that. Dumb as shit.
So for people in the chat and for people listening and watching, natural 1s and natural 20s are auto fails or auto succeeds, even on
That's
ability
fine.
checks and saving throws. And you could also have inspiration give you advantage on rolls, and you could also give it out to other players as well. But why do you think it's dumb?
What I don't like about it is now only weapons do crit damage. I guess that's a little bit different, but no, it's not. It's still crits. That's fucking stupid.
Yeah, only buff
Like
PCs can
a
get
critical
crits.
hit is the best part. Wait, what'd you say?
I haven't said
Only
anything in 10
metrics.
minutes, but I saw 3 Mile put that up. I was like, yeah, buddy, you've been paying attention.
A critical hit or fail even is the best part of playing Dungeons and Dragons. They just neutered the shit out of it.
Yeah, I don't think that's the best part about playing D&D.
Well, you're playing it wrong, obviously.
Obviously, I only play it 9
fired.
times a week.
Guys.
No,
I think it's. I'm not. See, to me, that rule goes out the window. I actually have an expanded critical rule, homebrew rule that I've been using, and my players fucking love it. So when you roll a crit fail or a crit hit, you roll a d12, and I have charts with that expand just a little bit from the basic double dice. It follows that formula, but there's a little bit more to it. But again, they're like oversimplifying it, and I get it, and you're absolutely right that they're trying to appeal to new players.
Yeah.
And that is where my fear comes in, is that they're going to cater so much to bringing new people in that they're going to alienate their base.
Yeah.
And with a product like this, you don't need to bring new people in. The base does that already.
Yeah.
So that is the core of why of my negativity towards what my rant of what they're doing. I think it's a classic. It's a classic. It's a classic.
If you put tennis balls on your walker, I don't understand what you're walking for. What your tennis balls let you roll around? I'm confused.
Jason, you're like
now if you
shit, there's teenagers out there.
Now if you'll
I'm scared. I'm staying home.
Yeah, fuck you. Now if you'll excuse me, it's 4 p.m. I have to go eat dinner. No, I'm serious. This is it's I see the mistake of classic, corporate mistake of how can we increase sales?
Mm-hmm.
Is that really a mistake though?
Not from their standpoint.
Of course it's not a mistake.
In the short run, it's not. In the long run, if it ends up killing the game because they fucking pissed off, 20 million players, then.
But I don't think you could kill. I would say, and then I want to, I haven't said much, which is rare.
No, I can't. Before you go into it, I can't. No, it's not wrong. From their standpoint, that is their goal. As my buddies always remind me when I spout off like this, it's a business, and their goal is to make money. I get it. Okay?
I will simply state this. Not all creators are good curators, and not all curators know how to be creators.
Bingo.
So we're in that, classic kind of window of time. There have been many attempts to murder this game. If Gary Gygax can be found in a basement buried in half a kilo of cocaine, you know, and the game still continues, right?
I don't think half a kilo will bury somebody.
You know, the Dave Arneson battles that took place, the
Yeah.
fact that they wanted to license D&D toilet paper at one point.
Spaceballs the toilet paper.
Exactly. So there have been numerous attempts, whether it was, you know, TSR 1.0, you know, TSR 2.0, 3.0, and then eventually Wizards 1.0. There have been many attempts to murder this game. And fundamentally, you could play this game for years without ever spending money. You could. You could basically spend enough money on a set of dice. If you have a good storyteller and people that want to play a game with fantasy and imagination, you can play it for $1. You can play it for $1. It's not a big deal. Well, yeah. But I'm
yeah, of course.
Everything else related to this game is emotion, nostalgia, and the hope of the idea of fantasy and imagination and what does it mean to play something that used to be holistically unique. Now, the challenge that we run into is they're turning something that we all feel in different levels is, you know, is this game really capable of being unique anymore? Not really. As soon as you open up a platform to hundreds of millions of people in either a digital space or you're constantly retuning it to sell to a whole new generation of people each time, you know, it's a challenge. It's a challenge.
Wow. Gary, you are like an evil fucking genius.
What's distressing is everything they're talking about now has already been on my playbook for the last 5 years. Tailspire already does a great VTT job. It's an amazing platform.
Yeah, it's just not all in one place.
Yeah.
Well, it's all in one place for me because everything else that D&D Beyond is fucking garbage.
Okay, 5% of people, 5% of people are you. So no, it's not in one place.
Well, here's the thing.
You do an extremely good job at it because you are super passionate about it and you have the time and the energy to do it. Most people don't.
This is fair.
Well, here's the thing too, is that luckily it's in a play test phase. So like it's
sure.
Is it?
Well, I mean, and then the thing is too, is that Rule of Cool can also just fix this too for your own independent games. Everything is
they say it's in the playtest phase to shut up fuckers like me.
Yeah.
Well, we're taking your feedback.
Like that first drop to both your points, Barry and Bri. That's only the first group of alterations of characters. There's a whole other drops coming for more of the character alterations. If you have your homebrew dial set to on in the D&D Beyond, I think the last time I checked, there were 1,200 races. So the argument for their playtest holds little cadence or water for me because I've already moved beyond what they think they want to become. I've already gotten rid of levels. I've already gotten rid of classes and subclasses. I've already boiled down the magic to what I think players would enjoy based on each different table that runs with the rules. I wanted to give all the narrative skill back to the players. So their stories are their characters now. They're 20 years behind me as far as I'm concerned. Their content for me is just the ingredients of soup. The things that I use to stir my imagination, and that's it.
Yeah. Well, you are both right. And Sharon, yes, it for an experienced DM, it still comes down to the rule of cool, which is why, I can't make a informed decision based on one 21-page snippet of hundreds of pages to come. I mean, I homebrew the shit out of stuff too. I actually like a more complicated game, so I add all these cockamamie rules, which generally add to the fun.
Well, I actually enjoy your skill tree. I like how you did the skill tree thing. I think that was...
Thank you.
And that was based... I feel like that was based on the vibe of your players.
Believe it or not so much. That was based on my vibe. And of all of my homebrew, that's the one that gets used the least because people have a hard time understanding it. I may have made it a little too complicated, but...
Oh, then, you know what? That's a horrible idea.
But you know, I hope that, to your point, Sharon, both of your points, I think if they were smart about it, they would do what they said they were going to do, which is the very first thing they said: we're not getting rid of 5e, we're building upon it. So they should. Did you really, Jeff? Oh, Jeff used my skill tree. I didn't know that. Oh, that's right. When we were playing, yeah, he was the only one that used it. No, actually, a couple people did. All right, everything I say is bullshit. Secondary for me in my game groups. Yeah. I totally lost my train of thought. Go ahead, Sharon.
No
So
survivors.
what do you guys think of these two?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Have you guys read about the stone cutting feat for the dwarf?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so guys, if you haven't read it, basically for dwarves, it's like a tremor sense. When they touch like stone or anything, they're able to detect movement up to 60 feet. I don't know why they haven't just done that from like the get-go. I thought that was super cool. And then the grapple condition was also interesting, is that your movement is 0, but you have disadvantage. You roll with disadvantage, and you can't attack your attacker or grappler.
Grappler, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, some of the stuff I read was really awesome. Some of the stuff, like the critical stuff, I'm not going to use it.
Monsters can't critical hit anymore?
Yeah, exactly. Or spells. It's just, oh, great, I'm a wizard, so I can never crit. That's just dumb.
That's pretty sad.
Right?
Well, it's not going to be used.
I guess I should scratch off the 20s on all my dice.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
and J.S. Henderson brought one up that I've been using for years, which is custom feat for med kits, like healing kits. So if you have access to a healing kit, why not throw a bunch of stuff at it and give it some teeth and meat to what?
Yeah, that was the biggest one in my skill tree was medic. A wand. No, they said melee and ranged weapons.
Right. Is if you jam it up someone's.
I was gonna say,
is a
if
wand
you poke somebody in the eye with it, yeah, great. So you critted on 1 damage, you do 2 damage.
Metrics.
Yeah, exactly. Storyteller. If I take the wand and jam it in his eye and roll a natural 20, is that a crit? I would just let Mira just succeed on the intimidation factor of it. As you hold the wand up to his eye, he evacuates and then passes out.
It would evacuate. It would be really cool because Jason, you've made this point, that the DC system is the core of the game, and that is a really basic mechanic. So it would be really cool if they did this as like just homebrew rules on top of rules on top of rules. Yes, it is. But again, you do 1 damage. Great, you critted. Now you do 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, one D&D, first of all, I'm just gonna say it's a stupid name. Stupid name.
Really?
I can't stand the
one D&D to rule them all.
Exactly.
All.
I'm neutral on it. It's not the greatest. It's not.
You know what would be an amazing name for this game?
Brian Weiss's D&D system.
No, Dungeons and Dragons. Oh wait, that already exists. How is that? Just call it D&D.
Wyverns and wine cellars.
What'd you say?
Wyverns and wine cellars.
I love that T-shirt that like a bunch of orcs are around the table, and one of them's wearing T-shirts that say humans and houses.
Yeah, but if we use mazes and monsters, Tom Hanks is going to want his piece of the pie, so we'll skip that.
He beat you to it.
Yeah.
Dragons and Dungeons. Okay, how about for the rest of the show we just come up with alternate names for one D&D dice game. That game they played on Stranger Things.
And what's interesting is I don't know how familiar people are with the homebrew process in D&D Beyond, but they actually have a certification process for your submission.
Yeah.
So if you actually create a homebrew item or homebrew anything,
it shows
if
up
you
for everyone.
submit it and it matches the formula that they approve against, then there's always a possibility it becomes approved rule sets within the homebrew universe.
So you meet in a tavern, ...
Yeah.
Vecna and vampires. I love this.
So
I'm gonna
keep it going, chat.
So you meet in a tavern. Join. Heels, bro.
I don't know. So, I imagine that there's been many generations that have quibbled over changes.
I'm sure there have. I'm not the first person to rant. I'm not going to be the last. This will not be my last rant.
Their digital marketing approach to the drop was pretty well, it was well done, right? It hit all the right notes, had all the right blend, the right mix. It had all the right, looking for group. It hit all the right tones that I think they're trying to set.
I will disagree on that. I think it was pretty damn cryptic.
But that's the tone. They want to be cryptic.
Oh, well, okay, then they succeeded.
Tone that they're looking for, because you're going to feel like everything's a loose thread. So everything's a loose thread. Well, let's go read and write everything that they have right now and figure out what's going on.
Gary, I totally disagree, because if you saw 2 shows ago, I think the movie's going to suck ass.
I have hopes for it. I think it's going to be okay. Not like really awesome. I think it's going to be okay, though.
Hey, definitely man, better Christopher than Pike's in it. I'm cool.
Christopher Pike? Chris Pine. Chris Pike was the Admiral.
Yeah, but to me, Chris Pine is Chris Pike and Shatner, and he's always been the Kirk I've always wanted. Always. Although some of the new Star Trek stuff is pretty cool. I would say if D&D 1 or D&D 2, 1 D&D, does that mean the next time they're going to call it 2 D&D or 3 D&D?
No, those are additions.
2D?
No, those are additions. They said no more additions.
Then don't call it 1 D&D. Just call it D&D.
I agree with you.
I mean, technically it is 2D.
Okay, let me switch to a positive. Let me switch to a positive note. The digital aspect. I actually do have high hopes for the digital aspect, because I know that you and I have differing views on D&D Beyond. You hate it. I pretty much love it.
I enjoy the idea of it, and I tolerate it. I hate lazy programming. And the platform just screams of lazy.
Yeah. Okay, so, that part I overlook, so I like it. But I am extremely excited for the prospect of the current D&D Beyond with the programming fixed and the search algorithms and all that shit, combined with Tailspire. Okay. Now, the third part of that pie, as I said, is curating the community. They already have, when a company sets out to develop a CRM program, which is customer relations management, when the company sets out to start a CRM program, their number one question is, how do we get customers? All right. We have 50 people. They have millions. It's already there. The community is already there. They just have to give people the excuse to spend money on those microtransactions. And as I said, and this idea is not mine. This idea was actually Adam Scott's from D&D Club. And he was actually working on this a while back, and for reasons I will not go into, did not happen. Please, yeah, that's what Jeff, why don't you come on the show and tell us about this? But if they just give people a place to go, because that's another thing we keep hearing from new players. Where do I go to find games? Where to go to find DMs and whatnot? Even though there's such a proliferation out there, but it's not all in one place. So they could say, guess what? Your digital account now includes your online profile. Okay. And you can also level up as a DM, as a player. You can make transactions that you may even be able to use on character if your DM approves it. I mean, there's just all kinds of shit that they could do, and they could gamify, like I said, they could gamify the experience of being a D&D player beyond actually playing the game. And that's where they
Yeah.
can go bank.
Well, see, and now that's the thing too with the virtual tabletop. I feel like it has like a more video gamey perspective, especially for like newer players coming in. They're gonna I feel like they're gonna have that mindset, and I feel like that's gonna take away from like the in-table games. Even though I haven't personally done one myself, but I feel like, you know, that's how D&D started to begin with, was just, you know, in-person tabletop playing. Like this video gamey perspective, I think, kind of takes away the theater of the mind aspect away. It's like it's one less thing that is kind of integral to D&D.
Well,
what do you guys think?
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that should enter the game space itself. I'm saying that that's what happens in between your sessions, you know? Like, I mean, you know, we've all been there. It's like, oh my God, I really want to play, and my next session isn't for a week or 2 weeks or whatever. So you can do this stuff, you know, while you're waiting. I do agree with you fully that the game itself should not become like a video game. That would be really disappointing if that was the case. If it
because I feel like the way they presented it made it kind of feel that way. And that's why I was thinking like, oh, well, this is probably because they're trying to get that new audience and the younger kids involved in the game. But
I mean, the VTT should be a tool in a toolbox. It should not be the experience itself. So there's definitely that pitfall. Also, I really, Jason, what's your? I know what your opinion is, but give it to us anyway. No, I don't. I'm not saying that sarcastically. I know what you're going to say, but I want everybody else to.
I mean, I've never been happy with any VTT solution, to be honest. I mean, as much as I enjoy Tailspire and how easy it makes it for me to run online games, you still have the overarching problem of the evolution of the online community versus the de-evolution of the in-person community. You're going to have a lot more opportunities online. You're going to have a lot more available players. You're going to have a lot more available platforms, a lot more available tools, software. I mean,
they could say anything the hell they want.
Right. When you see a shift coming in multiple layers, a movie, a version update, and a shift away from the in-store model into the online model, this three-pronged approach from a digital marketing perspective, right? They're using the platform of their media experience to kind of flush out their demographic. And they're looking for a demographic that has money, not for a demographic that has morality or nostalgia or community at heart or whatever, right?
And this is why I am not a CEO. Because I just, you know, with a product like this, you just, you know,
but the reality of the situation is they're in a transition. They're transitioning away. And this is why I really hope to have a good conversation with the Geeks and Teas folks, because I really want to get their opinion on whether or not they feel One D&D is a supportive platform for them. Because I don't get the feeling that it is. It doesn't feel like WotC's future it's going to have very little to do with the physical world. Now, could you become a very creative DM in this environment? Absolutely. You can. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a good point, Gary. I mean, it's still huge.
I think WotC. So, how could you be a creative DM with this coming up? One thing you could do very creatively is you could have a 60-inch TV and a table, so that if you wanted to use their VTT solution in a live game, you could probably pull it off.
Yeah.
Use it sparingly. Use it with purpose. Use it with the intent of supporting theater of the mind. Do not lose focus on theater of the mind, because it's bad enough that sometimes you've become a lazy DM. Theater of the mind keeps your players from becoming lazy. If everybody at the table is lazy, eventually everyone's going to be pulling out their Switches and, playing Animal Crossing. So the future of this game, unfortunately, I don't think is retail supportive anymore. I think they're going to try to build this out as a way to capitalize on the online shift. The online shift is never going to go away. I'm proof that the online shift works. I am visual, actual proof that it works. I just don't think any of their tools make sense to me for the way I run my particular game. Someone else could think of it totally different, and that's completely fine. But if the community thinks for even the briefest of microseconds that this is a community-driven company, you are sleeping, standing up.
Yeah.
They are owned by Hasbro. That's a publicly traded company. Yeah. They have to make a profit to justify their stocks, and they got to keep their shareholders happy.
Yeah.
The only thing that keeps shareholders happy is money. The more you make, the more you take, the more you make your shareholders happy, and your corporate, thing can continue on. Now, is there a giant world of independent indie creators out there you can utilize? Absolutely. I always say go there first. Oh, no. I always say go to your local store first and create an ecosystem. Second, go find your indie players. Thirdly, if you have to put an online game together, find help in how to do it. Don't just presume there's only one way to do it. Corporate mentality wants you to feed at the trough. The cradle to grave mentality is what corporations stick to.
Yeah, and that's why I'm concerned about independent TTRPGs, especially with the rollout of 1D&D. That's gonna be so much more harder for places like Drive-Thru RPG to really boost and help independent games like Call of Cthulhu, Pathfinder, Warhammer. All these guys are just being overshadowed by D&D, 1D&D, and
yeah. I know it's the reason we're having this discussion is because everybody who plays the game, hopefully, is really passionate about that. I know we all are. And it's really upsetting to think that such a good thing. It's one of those if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And it's not broke. It just needs to be focused. It's not broken. It doesn't need to be fixed. It needs to be focused. And Jason, everything you said is 100% correct. And it's just my naivete that says to me in my,
we all have that same night.
Yeah, that says to me in my mind.
Some of us call it naiveness. Some of us call it hope. Some of it we refer to as I wish they would. Right?
Yeah,
we've all used the vernacular in different
call
ways.
It what you will. Call it what you will. But part of me says that when you have a product as successful as this, through no fault of your own, okay, don't fuck it up. And the feeding at the trough and the corporate mentality, I know it always applies. Follow the money applies in every aspect of life these days. It's no fucking joke. And it's a shame because it's a short-term, it's a short-term, it's a short-sighted mindset in my opinion, because, I correlate it to Star Wars. Okay. We talked about this a little bit when the prequels came out. All right. The impetus behind those was to garner a new audience, not cater to people like you and me who grew up with those movies, literally grew up with those movies.
Ooh.
Dun dun dun! Tinfoil hat.
That actually derailed Brian's train for a minute.
I know. No, but when those prequels came out, kids didn't really get into them, and every Star Wars fan on the planet fucking hated them because they were atrocious. And what they didn't realize is, no, you cater to the existing fans who grew up with that, who now all have kids and will naturally get their kids into that. It's the same thing. Cater to your base, and they will bring in those new players and users. it pisses me off. It really pisses me off. And that's why I really feel like they could fucking ruin this game. And I don't say that meaning none of us are going to be able to play D&D anymore. That's bullshit. I mean, we could all say right now, I'm never spending another dime on D&D, and I'm going to play with what I have, and I'll be happy for the rest of my life doing that. But there's always that bit in your mind that says, why the fuck did they do this? You know, it just kind of ruined the magic for me.
I feel so sad for you, Brian. I just want to give you a blue pill and a red pill and see if that'll make you happy.
Until your base dies. Well, Harley Davidson, I guess that is a correlation. I don't know. I guess I can't argue that. Thanks, Jeff.
So what improvements do you guys want to see in 1D&D? Top 3.
Like not high level stuff, tactical or strategic?
Anything.
Boy, that's a great way to shut us up, Cher.
All right, Chad. It's just you and me now. What do they think?
I had all this negativity built up and planned, and you fucking threw this curveball at me. God damn it.
We're going with forward thinking, guys. Come on.
Forward
There's
thinking.
potential for growth.
I would like to see, like I said, an integrated digital experience that does give the opportunity to microtransact if you want, but it does not become dependent on that, and you don't feel like you're falling behind if you don't. Okay. Jason, if you got one, you can go, because I'm trying to think of my 2 and 3. I would also like a remaining core set of rules, and I would like a more organized system of homebrew-esque rules on top of that. Okay. Pursuant to their, we're not taking 5e away, we're adding to it. And then the last thing is, I know the last thing, which they already stated they're doing, which is very cool, which is bundle the fucking physical and digital books together and stop making people pay twice. And I know why not many people knew that D&D Beyond, before WotC bought them, had nothing to do with WotC. So you were buying from 2 different companies. They had nothing to do with each other. So it was obvious that you're going to have to pay for it twice. Now they can finally give everybody what they want and say, you know what? Here's both. It's an extra $5. Books are now 55 instead of 50, and you get the digital version too. Done. So there's my 3.
There you go.
I'm going to let you go first, Cher, as a player. Since you haven't had an opportunity yet, which one of these days, I can't wait till you get the opportunity to be a DM.
Oh, that's a good one too. That's number 4, is stop with the level cap. I'm okay with levels. I don't like the level cap. And I don't like the godlike level 20.
So from a player perspective, Cher, what do you think?
I'd like to see them publish the metrics rules they use to balance background, classes, and races. Hey, very nice chat. So you can modify your home. Hey. Chat, you're on fire.
Oh, and I have a number 5.
Uh-oh. You're breaking rules.
Get rid of fucking druids.
Hey.
Cher, as a player, Cher, as a player, what are your top 3?
I mean, honestly, I've only been playing for about a year now. Mira's metrics of everything.
For those of you that don't know, Mira is Sharon's character, and Vigo was my returning character. I had like 3 Vigos after they kept dying.
Yeah, so Mira's my druid Circle of the Moon character. She is awesome.
Oh, I like that. Mira's metrics of the multiverse. That's fucking awesome. Dibs, trademark.
I mean, honestly, I totally agree with Torchseer with, no level capping. I think the adventures should keep going. And I believe it was in a previous episode or 2 where we were talking about what do your characters do after level 20? There's nothing. And, there's that possibility of like, oh, well then, at level 20 or after, maybe, your character goes on a power trip and becomes, crazy, and then heroes come after you instead. That will prolong the story and maybe level up your person more. Or, okay, hold on now. I'll just stop right there, because then I thought about reincarnation, then you fight in the afterlife. I'll just stop right there. But yeah, honestly,
and I want candies and unicorns and clouds.
Yeah. Prancing in fields. Well, see, here's the thing. Since I'm a new player, like, I have a pretty positive perspective on D&D right now, and like, it's a game full of creativity, and like, and people are improving it to make it better. I do see D&D as a opportunity to make things easier for people and to kind of enhance the gameplay just a little bit more. But I do understand how people can be so passionate about these things, and like, it's an awesome game. You don't want it to be broken or, not fun to play anymore. But that's why I think it's really cool that like, you have the rule of cool. You can make your own rules, because that's what's awesome about D&D. It's just creativity. You just go with it. And yeah, I always like to say positive things about D&D. I'm sorry, guys,
but the reason why I really wanted Barry to give her insight on that is that you're the demographic they're going after.
Yes.
Well, you're their demographic.
Maybe like, it would be great if like they had like a place where you can find, games to look up, or like Brian was saying about having a profile and just having people just, oh, okay, I'm looking for a Curse of Strahd campaign. Oh, let's filter that out. Or, I think that would make it super simple, because it's like, everything's scattered everywhere. It's good to just have everything in one place. But I feel like that might be too much of a dramatic overhaul. But then, because then I'm pretty sure they're going to have like pay to play DMs on there as well. Because like, even like for like the like D&D in a castle, they do
Holy
stuff
shit.
like that.
That didn't even occur to me, is that they might kill the entire independent pay to play DM
they might try.
Space.
They might try.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe,
So
that could
I'm
be...
about to age myself incredibly here.
What's this level 20?
Well, if you
I told you, Gary and I have played for 30 some odd years together, and yeah, I've never had a level 20 character ever. My closest is in Jeff's campaign, and I'm 19.
We're gonna boost it to level 50.
I have something that I've followed my entire life since I read the book. A very incredible rogue that went by the name of Walter Slavatsky. Now, Walter Slavatsky is infamous for his laws. Let me present you with the most important law he ever introduced, law number 17. Law number 17, thou shalt always cover thine ass. So, my top three, the name.
Are you tying everything together with your butt? Like, you started...
All right, so apparently Jason is a little unclear on what he would like to see.
They cannot improve anything that will appeal to me, so it's kind of irrelevant to me.
Wow, you thought I was negative. I at least said
it's not negative. It's the most positive affirmation you could ever come to a realization with this game. My imagination has peaked to the point because I've come to accept their limitations, and therefore I aggregate the lore, the content, in a way that allows the imagination of my creation to continue on, regardless of their kind of mechanical, like very delicate walk through a corporate mentality. So I'm okay with whatever they decide to do. It's not going to make a difference in how I absorb the lore, the architecture of the content, because all I do is take a page from 20 different books and reorganize it in my OneNote, and then I write my summary, and then I write my arcs, I build my cities, and I build my villains and my good guys and my good people, my bad people, And then when the players sit at the table, I look at them and go, okay, what do you want to play? How do you want to play it?
Mm-hmm.
Do you really want to be a cleric, or do you want to be a Templar? Do you want to be a thief?
I think that is an extremely healthy mentality towards the game. I also would venture to guess that you are in the extreme minority in that mindset.
Probably, but that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, there isn't. I'm just...
My opinion isn't meant to be negative. My opinion is meant to be transcendent.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, it'll happen to everybody over a period of time. Eventually, you're going to realize the 48 books that you have back on your shelf are irrelevant if you don't play.
Well, yeah. This is where Jason transcends into godhood as a celestial. I have transcended the DM mold. Well, obviously, but if you don't play, then all this is academic.
Yes, I'm curious.
This is my favorite Walter Slavatsky law. A hero's work is never done, which is one of the minor reasons I don't recommend the profession.
Send me that link.
I will. I'll send it to you. I would say my relationship with D&D Beyond has matured to the point where they don't really need me anymore. I've already bought everything of value from them, and now I'm more focused on the cool little niche creative space where on occasion, maybe a piece of art or some dice or a model, because one of my players that sits at the table, she loves to paint models. So I may go out to the Etsy store, or I may go out to Twitter and look for independent creators for ideas. The different really cool .ios that are out there for creativity. I have moved on from D&D Beyond. After the horrible nightmare of them pinning me to the ground, roofing me, and then taking my money for that piece of shit Spelljammer book, they can all go fucking die.
You know what? I just thought of something.
Well, there goes the chances of ever having them on as guests, you dick.
Yeah, you know what? I had a real fun email back and forth with them over the week, with their so-called customer service.
Oh shit, dude! You got to send me that. Wait, Sharon had something to say. I want to make sure. Sharon. Yeah.
Well, I was thinking, like, you know how like there's a section in D&D Beyond where people can just create their own like weapon, magic items.
All the homebrew stuff, yeah.
Yeah. So it would be cool to have like a page where like there's like featured magic items, like a feature of the week or something. And like people can really cater to that and revolve around that community instead of it being just like a short list of everything. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Again, that falls into that curating the community.
Yeah.
And making you feel like you're actually... See, there is a very robust D&D community. WotC has never dipped their toe into it or bothered to curate it at all. So if they were smart, that would be their number one goal. Not rewriting fucking rules or even adding VTT to D&D Beyond or even fixing the goddamn programming. If they were smart and they really had corporate interests at heart, they would be all over that like stink on a monkey.
Do monkeys stink? I don't think that's fair.
Monkeys are pretty stinky.
I don't think it's fair that people are calling Russians orcs. That's very unfavorable to the orcs. I like orcs. They've culturally appropriated my orcs, and I'm very sad about it.
Okay. I have no response to that. Anyway, yeah, but Sharon, that's exactly that type of stuff is what I'm talking about when I say curating the community. And that is the biggest gold mine that they, for their sake, should recognize.
Like, I would love to see an item of the week on the community. I think that'd be so cool. Or like homebrew story of the week. Or
Cher, have you dipped into their forums yet that they have on D&D Beyond?
Not yet.
You should give it a try. See what you think.
Yeah.
But imagine if you were a player, Sharon, and you had your online profile, Sharon, not your character, but Sharon Berrybot, okay? And you were a level 1 player, and you became more involved in the forums, and you leveled up. It's like a Discord moderator, Okay. And
Yeah.
then you're a level 2, and then you're a level 3. And then you put some homebrew stuff up there. And a lot of people really liked them. So they featured your homebrew item. Boom. Now you're a level 1 curator in addition to magic item curator. And that's what I'm talking about. So the community itself becomes a game on top of actually playing the game.
Yeah, and when you level up, you could be like named like an alchemist or something, or like a blacksmith.
See how excited somebody gets?
I'm always excited.
Yeah, you're welcome, Watsy. I'll send you my bill for strategic consulting for this shit. Anyway, I think we've ranted our.
Ooh,
oh wait, maybe not.
Artificer of the week.
There you go.
And what's really interesting, that brings up an interesting final point for me. The Artificer class is one of the most inventive curiosity that I think they've come up with. It's a little bit of everything. There's like a little bit of everything in there, and you can tweak it to so many different unique ways that make it so much more interesting and so much more fun to me.
Oh, you know what they should do? They should get rid of all the classes except Artificer.
The druid stage.
That wasn't my point. My point was...
No, I was mocking myself for saying that they're diluting everything to being the same.
Gotcha. No, but I think it you know, one of these days we'll have a conversation about how you can literally just take the core system of the game and you can run anything you want.
Yeah.
In any fashion that you want. Whether
you have brought that up numerous times, so I think we should do a show on that. Like, let's take 5e, its core, and play a space game. Not Spelljammer, but a space game like Star Trek.
I mean,
Star Wars,
we've already played a
cowboy
steampunk
game.
You know, we've played a steampunk game with it. I've written a Battlestar Galactica game that I haven't played yet. I've written a Star Wars game I haven't played yet. I've written a Firefly game I haven't played yet. You know, I've written a Western based on Boot Hill, but I kind of use the core system and Western feats and traits. You know, so I've even dabbled in Deadlands a little bit. I've taken a look at, you know, all these things that used to exist and still do exist for the most part. And I could run every single one of them off the core set. It's not that hard. Yeah, so I'm saying we should do a show on that. You know, and I realize it's hard for Dungeons and Dragons to be treated like a GURPS style game. I get that. But when you have a solid DC narrative system that works, you're right. They're just going to fuck it up if they try to change it. And on that note...
Ooh, Rollies?
Rollies.
Oh, yeah. I think I won last time, didn't I?
I think you did.
Yeah, I did.
The only die I have at my desk, I have like
7,000
dice downstairs, and I only have one at my desk, so it's my cursed little tiny metallic. So here we go. All right.
I'm gonna use my Sailor Moon dice.
All right. I got a 10.
I got a 4.
I got a 9.
Oh my god!
Take it away, Bri.
All right. Okay. Well, anyway, that was an interesting, if not somewhat.
Barry. Behave.
Yeah.
Be yourself.
Be kind.
Oops. We're not sponsored, so.
You got the buzz.
Yeah, I got the buzz. That was a very informative and passionate, if not entirely unfocused conversation about 1D&D. Thank you.
Pretty focused. I thought we did okay.
No, I think we did.
Everybody got involved, even the chat. You guys were great, by the way.
Yes, chat.
All
thank
those
you.
Names were amazing.
Yes, chat. Oh yeah, we got to start. We got to continue that. You guys send in more 1D&D replacement names. But thank you all in the chat for joining and interacting with us. We appreciate it. Jason, any announcements? I'm sorry. Let's do Sharon first. Sharon, any announcements?
Hey guys, so thank you guys so much for joining us for another episode of Lawfully Chaotic. You can catch me here on, well, not here. You can catch me here Thursdays, 4 to 7. Wait, no, not 4 to 7. I'm always getting that mixed up. Sorry.
Now everybody's thoroughly confused.
You can catch me here 6 to 7 Pacific time on the Lawfully Chaotic show, and also you can catch me on Saturdays at the D&D Club for the Grey Lands campaign, where I play as a druid Kalistar named Mayra. 4 to 7 p.m. Pacific time, so be sure to check me out there. And you can also follow me here on Instagram at Berrybot. So I really appreciate you guys joining us.
Awesome. Jason, announcements, and where do we find you?
Yeah, you can find me over at TTRPG Academy.
TTP.
Yeah, I know. TTTTTT. RPG
FTP.
Academy. My LinkedIn, my Linktree socials, all that fun. You can even find me on LinkedIn if you ever want to just talk shop or business, or if you just want to learn how to be a pro DM. More than happy to sit down and train more. There's a huge need for the ratio of me to players is a bit crazy. I am working on 2 Spelljammer campaigns, and I'm also working on a homebrew Exandria campaign called the Maelstrom. And the Maelstrom campaign takes place right after Age of Arcanum and before Post-Divergence. It's that primordial soup of time as everybody's clinging on to survival and trying to survive in the hellscape of the wild magic of Post-Arcanum period. Because there's virtually nothing written about it. So it's my playground. I can do whatever I want. So I'm in the process of trying to build 3 new tables right now.
Good
Awesome.
soup.
To bring your total to
12.
Unbelievable. I don't know how you fucking have time for that. Awesome. As usual, you could find me at RPG&Co. Instagram is the best place to find me, but you can also check out my Linktree at /rpgandco.com. Linktree. I still don't know how to really say that. I will shamelessly plug my latest Critical Role contribution, which is the Bell's Hells t-shirt. It's over at the Crit Roll shop. Check that out. And I think that is about it. So, Jeff wants to play in your game, so I'll hook him up with you after. But anyway, thank you all for joining us again. Appreciate it. Play games. What is it, Jason? What's your
Be kind.
Be kind.
Be safe.
Be safe.
Play a game. It's good.
Play
for your mental
games
health.
and come up with a replacement for 1D&D. The name.
Thank you guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.